Hey, Unicorn Nation, what's going on? Max Finn here. Welcome to another episode of the Unicorn Perspective. Today, got to sit down with a good friend of mine, somebody that is doesn't really need an introduction, Mr. Tim Burd. But Tim and I, we've known of each other for quite a long time, years and years and years. We've become really close for the last 2 years. We've gotten to do masterminds together, gotten to travel together, speak at the same events, do deals together, do business together. And he's somebody that I look up to, I respect, I'm always learning from, and really just a real leader and pioneer in our industry, internet marketing, when it comes to specifically Facebook traffic. But he's done so much more than that over the years. He's come, and when he's kind of getting started out, Facebook was the big thing, but he's created groups for entrepreneurship, starting businesses, affiliate marketing, everything you could think of under the sun. He's done. He has had his hands in. And in today's interview, we talked way more than just about Facebook ads, right? We dabbled in it a little bit, but the conversation was really more about where is the industry going right now with AI, with machine learning, with advances in technology? Where is the internet marketing industry going? Where are digital marketers going? What's the next frontier? What are some trends that are going to occur that we should all be aware of? And then we also talked about what our goals are. My goals, Tim's goals, not just with our current companies, but what are our 5, 10, 15, 20-year goals? Where do we want to be in a decade from now? What are some of our big audacious plans? And he has some really exciting ones that are going to be awesome, and I hope he achieves, and I know he'll achieve them. And I'm looking forward to it because it sounds like a really cool idea. So I'm not going to spoil it. You got to listen to the episode. So stay tuned. You'll hear all about our big plans, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, Mr. Tim Burd. So Tim and I were just chatting, and first I said he had the weirdest background in history. His walls look super weird. He made like a special effect on his wall, the paint. It just makes it look blurry. And he said
You can get it at Home Depot. It's called blurry paint.
I like it. Yeah, it's a new style right now. Larissa and I are building a house, so we're gonna start using that. I'm gonna get rid of all this stuff. It's just gonna be just a giant blur wall. Um, so
Cool.
Tim was saying he was saying like, I said, hey, I don't really have a format, and there's no structure or anything in these conversations I have. I was like, I won't throw any hard questions at you. And he said, well, I want hard questions, right? Throw them at me. So I said, I'm going to think of like the craziest questions I can ask you throughout the podcast. I'm going to start with one that I'm genuinely curious to get your feedback on, because you not only have such a long history of media buying and have run agencies and all this stuff, but you also now run like the biggest like paid group and the biggest like free groups, where you just see thousands and then obviously like 100,000 plus media buyers talking, complaining, venting all day. Like,
Yeah.
why do you think so many people are just bad at media buying? Like, I'm going to be flat out and just say it. Like, we've gone through so many hires over the years, just hire after hire, and everybody has the resume and they say they can do it. We have found such a tiny fraction of people that can actually get results. And I'm curious what you think that's about.
I think it's for a couple of reasons. Both you and myself, our clients spend a lot of money on ads. So you need a higher tier media buyer than you would if, say, you're running a client that's only spending like $50 a day, right? Like anyone can kind of stumble their way through a $50 a day budget and like have decent results, because they're getting the bottom of the bottom tier traffic, kind of, bottom of the barrel in the auction. Um, so I don't know. I mean, it's like, why is it hard to find anyone for any job? It's people need to have the right skills. They need to be analytical. They need to be really hardworking. They need to be sort of like a slight gambling mentality, but not really.
Yeah.
They have to be comfortable possibly losing other people's money. It takes a very specific type of person, and I haven't found out the Myers-Briggs like ultimate personality for media buying yet. I would love to know, actually, like if we could, pull the top like 1,000 media buyers in the world or something and see what all Myers-Briggs they are. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just tough, man. Especially if you're trying to look locally. If you can expand it worldwide, it's a lot easier. Uh, but yeah, it's just not easy. But the good thing is that I think that Facebook is getting, with CBO and a lot of the, auto placement and stuff like that they've come out with over the years. The technical aspect is getting a little bit easier in that respect, but then the tools are getting more complicated. Multi-rate testing and heat mapping and stuff like that is becoming more and more of a, necessity these days.
Yeah.
Um, And then you have a shift also towards the creatives mattering a lot more. Like a year or two ago, you could throw up like a good image and like a decent headline and ad copy, and you'd be fine. Now that's just not really enough. So it takes a creative person and a technical person, and if you're trying to find those together, that can come up with a good creative and run it. It's just hard. You're looking for like a unicorn, right?
Yep. So here's my theory, and I'm curious to run this by you because you're also somebody that does it and also educates. And I talked about this a few times with people the last month or two. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting just more cynical, like just the longer I do this, it could be that I'm just
Yeah.
getting cynical, right? I'm just getting older and all these things. Like I find it like there's something about what we do for a living that is unteachable. And so like there are a lot of structures, right? You're the king of strategies and obviously naming your strategies and some of your strategies now are kind of like gold standards and they're just like the terminology that's used for things like surfing and stuff. Um, so what I found is like you have the strategies that work across the board for you and they work for a lot of people. They're not universal though. Like you can try
Of course.
bully or you can try surfing and it can tank for people, right? And so I've kind of started thinking about that. Like, hey, even the best strategies, even the best tactics still don't work 100% of the time. Still don't work 80% of the time.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
something about like when I go into an ad account, when I talk to a client about marketing strategy that I can't articulate. And a lot of this is coming through. I think I've been reading a lot more Simon Sinek lately and just a few books that I used to read. I'm rereading them. And a lot of like what's being talked about is this gap between limbic brain and neocortex. You have these two parts of the brain where like when somebody asks you, why do you love your wife? Why do you love your kids? Why do you love this? Like you use words that can explain anybody. It's like, well, they're really kind to me and they take care of me and they do these things. Like, well, you can apply to a lot of people, but you don't love them the same. So there's like you can't translate feelings into words sometimes. And so I found as an
Yeah.
educator, it's getting harder and harder for me to put like the stuff that I do and just the things that I don't know why I do what I do sometimes, but I can't put into words. And so I'm curious, like, are you finding that because you've done educating a lot longer than I have, um, or do you think that just like I'm just cynical and it's just a anomaly?
I think you just have to. I mean, I do agree to an extent that it is hard to explain because a lot of times it's just like a feeling,
Yeah,
where it's like, why did you turn that ad off?
yeah,
And I'm like, I just didn't think it was gonna do good. And they're like, but why?
yeah,
And then so it really comes to. So I found that it actually helps to explain if like try to picture that you're explaining it to like a programmer or that you're gonna try to automate it, right? Like, why did I pause that ad? And then I start thinking about it. I'm like, well, I paused it because that ad is doing bad in most of the other ad sets. Uh, in this ad set, it got a lower CTR than the other ads. It's been running for X number of days. It doesn't have the high contrast background the other ones do maybe, or things about it where you can start to break it down and figure out why it's not working or why why you did even what you did, like paused it or whatever, right? But then some things like for example that the cool political like petition style thing that you came up with is fucking brilliant. And it's like, how did you come up with that? How would you explain to come up with that? That kind of thing is very almost impossible. I mean, I guess you looked at like you looked at what's normal in politics, right? For the type of e-commerce thing you're doing. What's normal like in that realm, not necessarily in the marketing side, but in the and doing a petition is very normal for politics, right?
hmm
So then you paired something that's already normal to those people with, and then you blended it with what you wanted, and that kind of thing is I mean, that's really really hard to teach.
yeah,
Um, Even to come up with that in the first place is really hard. So to teach it, I don't even, it's just you just have to be creative, and in some cases that I don't even know if that is something. I mean, I think it'd be hard to teach just that, but I think that if someone sat down with you and for maybe a week or two while you're sitting there at the computer, and really got to feel, everything that you're thinking and kind of got a feel for like how you think, then maybe they could learn that, how to think like that. So I
Yeah.
think it's maybe like a how to think thing and not like a necessarily like, they're missing pieces of information per se. I don't think that's necessarily it. It's more like how to learn how you think.
Yeah, I mean that's the gap I see now in any type of paid traffic going forward is there's a piece of it that's almost becoming obsolete for humans, right? And so between advances in AI, automation, and just being able to know your KPIs and throw that in, like a lot of that now is, I mean, even with basic stuff, even with RealBot, Magic X, the different softwares out there, I mean, it does a lot of the stuff that I used to have to do manually a year ago, and it does it frankly better than me because it doesn't have bias or feeling. So there's like that part of it,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of media buyers are still fighting that. They're still like trying to. They think they can do it better, and maybe they can right now, but eventually, a few weeks from now, a few months from now, maybe it's a year. It's not really going to be competitive. Then the other half of it that people should be thinking about is like, how do I think about this problem and solution in a unique, creative way to grab attention in the feed? How do I move somebody through a consumer journey? How do I understand their objection to block those objections in creative ways? That's to me, I think, like the X factor for marketers and media buyers going forward. Because I think, like I said, like hiring, those are the people I want to hire now because they're going to be important and relevant for the next few years. Anybody that's
Yeah.
like, I'm a marketer, right? And a lot of these people, like I'm a marketer and a media buyer, and literally they don't do creative, they don't do copy. All they do is take what clients already have and throw them in a CBO or an ABO and set up some basic retargeting. Like, it's it's not really marketing. I mean,
That's a
that's
media
yeah,
buyer, not a marketer.
yeah, exactly. And
I always
yeah,
think it's interesting that people kind of people mistake marketing and advertising all the time, and I don't think people really understand the difference. So one thing that I always like to do is kind of I found an easy way to at least to explain this is that marketing and advertising are different, right? Marketing is when you're figuring out how best to advertise,
hmm
right? You're thinking about the demographic, the angle, a message you want to get across, and then advertising is taking that message, that angle, then actually executing on it, right? And actually like placing the ads and actually like setting your bid and your budget and optimizing placements and all that. That's advertising, whereas marketing is like figuring it all out basically. But a lot of people kind of I don't think really understand the difference between the two, and we're getting into, like you said, we're getting into a world where the advertising part of it is getting more automated, but the marketing side really isn't. It's really hard to automate creatives,
hmm
creative angles like that. Like I don't think a computer would come up with at least not yet. Maybe in the future, but yeah, there's definitely a big difference between the two, and it is hard to find people that know the creative side. But what's funny is I run into a lot of people, consulting clients, people to masterminds, etc., where they basically just like stumbled into something good on accident. They didn't really understand. They don't really even understand, I think, necessarily like how you know how good of a situation they're in, because they didn't have to go through like a lot of struggles and try 8 different stores to finally find a winner and yada yada yada. But what's interesting though is that I find that the people that kind of stumbled into it is that it's because it's like a unique product, a unique niche, something that like most people aren't doing. Um, like for example, what you're doing, political merch is a good one. Not a lot of people are doing that, as opposed to like maybe just like straight up jewelry or whatever, right? Like everyone has or was doing that or whatever. So it also helps, if you're doing something like super random, like someone that came to one of my masterminds was doing like board socks, I think it was called. It was like it's like a cover you put over your surfboard, and she's selling it like only in Australia. Then there's another client I have that they're doing the funnel all wrong and like just so many things wrong, but they're still profitable, and it's like a breastfeeding course, for women. Like so many like random things where they kind of just like fell into it and then kind of figured it out on the way. And then once they apply like proper marketing and advertising techniques, they can really take it to the next level.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
key. So what you just said is like everybody that listens to that should be like one of the biggest takeaways. I think I was just talking to Tanner Larson yesterday from Bill Grow Scale, who's with the mastermind too. Just him and Matt are great dudes, and we had this deep conversation about brands and how a lot of people right now, they think they have a traffic problem, or they think that the
Hmm.
solution to the fact they're not making money is I got to do better at Facebook ads. I got to send more Facebook and Google traffic to my store. And I mean, this is pretty much universally true. I think it's 100, I can say with confidence, 100% of the time, this has been true for any consulting client audit we've done, any review I've done. The businesses that started their business because they had a really cool mission and product and or service and
Hmm.
brand, and they built out this amazing packaging and product and everything is perfect about it, they can be terrible funnel people. They can be
Hmm.
terrible traffic
Yeah.
people, and they can still make money. And so like
Hmm.
they're starting in the right place. I think a lot of people today are starting with traffic and then just
Yeah.
find a product. I'm going to find a product from China that is,
Uh,
viral right now, and I'm just going to send a ton of traffic to a generic landing page and hope I take up a tiny enough slice, or a big enough slice of that, that pie that everyone's buying the scratch off maps or whatever the hot product is. But you're not building a
yeah.
brand. There's nothing long term there, and it'll be interesting to see if that continues that trend, or there's kind of a major tipping point in reckoning where just people literally there's nobody making it work anymore, and everyone realizes that I need to actually build a business instead of just building an
I,
offer.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree, and I think that I think that realization is maybe I think we're in the beginning of stages of that now.
Yeah.
Because all of that, just throw a store together, throw a shitty product up, and kind of try to make it work, is like a very, very big drop shipping mentality, right? And until AliExpress and Shopify came around and got really hot a few years ago, that wasn't really a thing. People weren't really doing that, and just to you guys all listening out there, there's nothing wrong with dropshipping. In fact, dropshipping is a great model as long as you have a great product, good packaging, great customer service, and fast shipping times. Like you still need to have a great customer experience. You don't have to ship it yourself. That's not a requirement of a good business. Um, like Amazon's a great business, and although they do have fulfillment by Amazon, there's also a lot of people on Amazon that are selling that ship it themselves, and it's just it's totally fine. Or they use fulfillment centers, and that's totally fine. So there's nothing about the dropshipping model that's bad. It's getting products that take 6 weeks to ship or 4 weeks to ship, and then it ends up in a little package, and then it falls apart in 2 days. That's where that's where these people are running into issues. They're trying, like you said, they're trying to they're trying to like throw 10 products at the wall and like hope one sticks, not even thinking about like the margin in the product or perceived value just they're not thinking about customer experience at all.
Yeah.
Most of the people most of the clients I have that do drop shipping and stuff like that, guess what? They've never even ordered the product themselves.
Which
They
is
literally
crazy.
don't have. It's a $3 product they're selling for 20 bucks, whatever, right? $4 product. They haven't spent the $4 themselves to actually see it in person and see how it arrives at their house. And then they spend like hundreds of dollars, even thousands of dollars, testing this product they haven't even seen, which is wild to me. So whenever I tell people, I'm like, hey, just you want to go sell those 50 products on your store? Awesome. Go order all 50 products first. Make sure you like them. And then when they get to your house, then you can use them to take creatives. So you can use them to make creatives, make little videos, yeah, do little photo shoots. Those are the things that really matter these days, is good creatives and good quality product and stuff. So if you have a crappy product showing up to your door and they're using like stock photos from like Alibaba or something, like you're not gonna, you might as well not even bother almost.
Yeah, there's no quality
You're gonna have,
control. Yeah. And
yeah,
it's
you're gonna have to try 50 products to find one decent one. Like that's just how it is. Like,
yeah.
but if you do it the right way, like no one wants to do things the right way. They'd rather try 50 products, waste thousands and thousands of dollars when they could have just bought like 10 good-looking products and then made some good creatives with those. Then maybe talk to the manufacturer and try to get like some custom boxes going, something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's the low barriers to entry. It's a blessing and a curse. The fact that it's the easiest time in history to be an entrepreneur, start a business, that's great.
mhm,
It levels the playing field. It allows people that don't have resources to start businesses and build wealth, which is incredible. but it also, sometimes having barriers to entry and having things be hard is a good thing, right? Like if you want to start a business a decade ago, you had to put up some serious capital. You had to get real estate. You had to get into a long-term lease. You had to buy inventory. You had to hire people. Like you probably put a little more thought into it before you launched a business. You weren't just like, hey, I saw this cool product. I'm going to go buy some real estate and order 50,000 units and then hire 10 people. And I'm going to hope it works. Like nobody did that
Yeah.
for decades or centuries. I'll share just a funny story before I forget, like about the not ordering your product. So I was at an event a few weeks ago and was talking to one of the guys there, and he said they had done a Trump coin offer. We were talking about like the Trump coin stuff, and so they were doing like a free plus shipping type thing. And so they ordered like 100 or 500 samples from China, from AliExpress, right? And it was a sticker. It was Trump, two thumbs up. It's like America first, something like that, just like basic coin. And they sold out of them. So then they decided, okay, we're going to order 50,000. So they order 50,000, but don't look at them, don't check them, and start selling them again. So they start shipping out thousands and thousands of customers, and they start after like a week or two getting phone calls to their call center from angry customers. So apparently the coins they did get from China were not the same ones as before. It was a picture of Trump on a rocket, riding a rocket between his legs, giving two middle fingers, and it just said America. And that's where they were sending to 55-year-old, 65-year-old, conservatives. And so it's like that stuff happens all now. They have like 50,000 of these coins, they can't do
Oh my
much with.
God.
So it happens a lot. Like people just, they don't take quality control seriously. They don't even buy their own product. Like how could you, it's crazy to think that like, it's a huge risk. Cause if you do crush it, like let's say something hits and you scale up, but you haven't quality controlled your product, guess what? You start getting chargebacks, you're screwed. You're going to get shut down in merchant
You're gonna,
processing. You're going to get
yeah,
all
you
your
literally
cash
won't be able
pulled
to take
out.
credit cards.
Yeah. And depending on who you're taking, if you're taking like Stripe or something like that, they'll yank a ton of cash out of your bank account. We had it happen back with our Trump coin in 2016. We had one day because our chargebacks went to like 2.2% or something because we were just in such like back order. Literally, they took like $75,000 out of our bank account overnight. Overnight, went in the morning, 75 grand
Jeez.
out of our bank account. They held it for 4 weeks, something like that.
Oh, that's terrible.
So that stuff happens, and I don't think enough people think about the consequences because of how easy it is to do it. It's just like, hey, it's doesn't require any
I,
work or investment.
I totally agree, and I think that it's a good thing actually that Facebook implemented the customer surveys
Yeah,
and stuff like that. I think that's been helping. Obviously, some people have been hurt by that, but it's forcing people to evolve. So hopefully, those people that did experience issues have learned a lesson that they need to provide a good customer experience uh, and uh, and I like that that the popularity of video and the necessity of video ads these days, I feel like is kind of raising the bar again a little bit,
definitely.
which is good. But it's still not too high. Um, I'm actually helping my girlfriend start an e-com store right now. And I'm taking my own advice. We ordered like 50 or so of the products that she wants to offer on the store, stuff like that, to quality control them. Do custom photo shoots, stuff like that. Uh, but like all in, we can start a business like including the domain for like $2,000-3,000. Doing it right.
Yep.
You can still drop ship, but only from the places that are drop shipping from the United States. If you're so that it's 3-day shipping. So you could still do it right. For very cheap. You just don't get too cheap. you
Yeah, because
know.
what also happens too, and like this is what I think, you know, you're a little older than me, so you've lived through this, but I think like anybody that was born after 1990, right? That wasn't born in the 80s or younger than that or older than that. They haven't lived through a tough time, right? Like
Hmm.
I kind of was just starting my entrepreneurial career. I started my first company right when the global recession happened. And I saw it through my dad's company, my grandfather's company and stuff. So I saw the devastation. I saw how you got these massive companies that had everything going for them almost overnight
Yeah.
get wiped out. I think a lot of people, especially these younger, like 20-year-olds who are, all into the social media marketing agency and start your own agency, start your own e-com store, have not thought about that. Have not thought about the fact that there is going to be a major pullback. We're already in a correction right now. And
Hmm.
stuff can happen. Like, so the coronavirus right now, all of a sudden, guess where everyone's getting their stuff supplied from? China. And guess what? It's hurting Apple. It's hurting you. Like, even Apple wasn't smart enough to begin to mitigate and like move some of their facilities to Taiwan and other countries. They should have. They didn't. And they're going to be crushed because their suppliers are all having, basically nobody's coming to work. And all these drop shippers, if you're selling products, let's say you were scaling, guess what? The factories that make your stuff, nobody's working there right now. They're all closed, and they might be closed for weeks, maybe for months. So what are you going to do with those? Maybe you have 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 orders out there. Are you going to refund them? I
Yeah.
mean, that's where it gets really scary is people don't think through worst case scenarios and don't have any contingency plans. Like if you're US based, that's great.
Thinking of worst case scenarios, I'm just curious with on the topic of coronavirus here. Have you bought any toilet paper or Purell or anything?
So we went and I bought 500 pallets of toilet paper at
No, you did
Costco.
not.
No, it's crazy, man. We have a group. We have a group text. My family and like so my sister, her fiance, my wife, I, and my parents. We have a group text, and like we were literally joking about this the other day. Like we never understand. It's like snowstorms, hurricanes, and pandemics. People just buy all the toilet paper, like as if their behavior is going to dramatically change. It's it's crazy. What's happening right now, and you know, it is impacting like everything. I think it's we'll see
So
what happens.
what's funny is actually I've been following the coronavirus since I think there was like the first death or two, basically,
Yeah,
like right since the beginning. And I actually went out myself and bought some toilet paper on Amazon, but I bought some toilet paper, not a lot, just like enough for like my family for like a
yeah,
month worth of non-perishable food, toilet paper, paper towel, that kind of stuff. Just a month worth, and it doesn't matter to me if it's a pandemic or a hurricane or an earthquake or whatever. But it's just good to be just in case, like worst case, what I have like a bunch of extra water and toilet paper I can use. Um,
so here's where it gets
but I
crazy
think
though. Yeah,
I think there is a potential of like some sort of quarantine or a recommended quarantine where I don't think it's
yeah,
going to be like shit hit the fan like zombie apocalypse. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think there's maybe at least like a 10% chance or something that that locally at least they say that hey, we recommend everybody stays in their home for 2 weeks or something. I
yeah,
do think that's a possibility. So I stocked up a little bit. I didn't like buy out a Costco or anything, but definitely
yeah.
stocked up a little bit. But I was thinking about it actually, and I think that um, I hate to even say it almost, but I feel like the coronavirus might be kind of good actually for us as advertisers because people are going to be home more, which means more inventory.
Yeah, so if you think about it, this is what's always interesting. I love investing. I love trading. Like you look at like what stocks are doing really well right now. Netflix is crushing it because everyone's assuming what are they going to you're quarantined at home. What are you doing? You're going to watch a shit ton of Netflix, right? Clorox is up really big. So there's a lot of different
Purell, yeah.
yeah a lot of different companies that that's the fundamental premise is people when they're home. What do they do? What are they buying? What are they consuming? Um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I've been following like, we know kind of the owners of most big networks and stuff. So I've been reaching out to people and saying, hey, like this offer, like, are you guys seeing a massive uptick in this? Because if you're there's a balance between obviously like taking advantage of people during disasters and times of like panic, which I think a lot of people are doing. There's a lot of info stuff going around that's taking advantage of it. It's like using very, very inflammatory, crazy videos and stuff and selling like a just ridiculous course or something that's totally irrelevant. But then there are, or
Or
the
like
math.
like how to survive the coronavirus or something.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff where it's not even like surviving the coronavirus. It's like using that on the front end, but like it's selling like a generic, like how to prep your house, like just stuff that's not even directly tied. It's not like it's just crappy, like
Right.
low quality, $30, $40 info. Um, and then there's obviously the masks, people selling the masks, and a lot of them are like, so first of all, and we can chat about this all day. Like people probably don't even care. They're like, Tim and Max, we have advertisers talking about the coronavirus, but I don't care. That's why I like my podcast
But it
because I get to
affects
talk to friends.
advertising.
It does.
You know?
So a lot of these people with the masks, like first of all, they've said that the masks are meant for people to actually have it, to not give it to people.
Yep.
That's the first thing, right?
Yep.
And most of the masks that are sold out there won't do anything. And even the ones that have like the legit ones that have the filters and all that stuff, they need to be like personally,
N95.
yeah, they need to actually be fitted to you. Otherwise, if they're not a perfect seal, it also doesn't
Yep.
have an impact. So all it's doing is it's crushing the supply for like doctors, first responders, people that need it that can't get it.
Yep.
But a lot of people are selling like fake ones, or they're selling, they're making it seem like this is, you need this to survive. And really, it's like the big thing you watch the CDC. They're saying, hey, wash your hands. Like, wash your hands as much as
Yep.
possible. Wash your hands every time you touch anything before you eat anything. Like, it's not crazy rocket science to not, catch this, or at least mitigate the likelihood that you do catch it. If you don't have to go into crowded places, don't go to crowded places. But then so the point of that was on the advertiser side. Then there are products that actually will be beneficial from a cleaning perspective. So like one of our earliest clients with our agency with Kevin with Quantum like 5 years ago was a company called Carbon Clean. And they make these things called Peeps and Screen Clean. Peeps are for like your glasses. They clean your glasses. They use like carbon
Hmm.
technology. And then like Screen Clean is for your phone and tablets. It like basically gets rid of all the germs and stuff. It's like a rechargeable device. And so I reached out to the network that's running it. I was like, have you guys seen like a massive uptick yet in this? And they're like, no. It's like, well, somebody's got to start pushing that angle, because literally every day in my Apple News, I see an article from like HuffPost, USA Today, New York Times about
Hmm.
your phone's like germ, like basically a germ factory. So
Dirtier. Yeah, it's dirtier than your toilet. It
toilet
says.
seat.
Yeah.
So if you are an affiliate marketer, like there's a lot of products out there that actually will help people and actually are beneficial, and also like are super in demand and relevant right now. So there are always opportunities, in bad times and in good times as a marketer and business owner to make money.
No, totally.
So I'm gonna switch gears and get out of the negative coronavirus world ending pandemic. Um, I've been curious about that. I don't think we've talked about this before. Like, I'm curious what your game plan is. Like, you don't have to tell me your 5 year strategy of everything you're gonna do, your secret world dominating plan, but just like more at a high level, like why you're doing what you're doing and what you're focusing on, because you see the writing on the wall in terms of like what types of companies to build. I know you had the agency for a long time and you used to do performance stuff, and you moved on from that and sold those things. And now you're building info
Mhm.
community, and there's some cool exciting stuff you're working on. So curious to kind of pick your brain on that.
Yeah, absolutely, man, and that's a great question. Uh, yeah, so I started out when I was 18. I was a mortgage broker, so I did the corporate thing for about a year, and I just hated going to work every day. So then I got into affiliate marketing, did all that. I owned my own offers. I started my own ad platform at one point. I owned affiliate networks, you name it. So now I'm at the point where then I started the Facebook ad buyers group. It's at like 105,000 people, plus then all the other groups I have. I think it's around 260, 270,000 people, something like that. And so my mission right now is to bring people together. I see that society, even, I mean, since how old are you, by the way? You're a few
30.
years younger than me, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
30.
I just turned 34 like last week. Um, but I've seen, so you're old enough though to remember before there was like everyone had a cell phone,
Yeah.
before that was like normal, right? So what I see now is I see kids, teenagers, you name it, really lacking like social skills, and not really knowing how to interact, and being kind of further driven apart by social media and technology, instead of kind of being brought more together, which was the whole point of it in the first place. At least that's what Facebook was saying,
Yeah.
So my goal is to bring people together. So thus the communities. Um, but I want to take it a step further, right? Because that's still people that are only together online, right? So are you familiar with Soho House by chance?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you guys watching this that aren't familiar, it's like a members only club. It
Hmm.
started in London. I think they have like 22 or so locations around the world now. It's like a members only club. They have usually like a lounge, a restaurant, a rooftop pool, maybe like 40 or so hotel rooms in some of them, like a little co-working space in some of them, and so on. Okay. And you have to be a member to go, right? So my kind of 5 or 10 year plan, if you will, is to build up all the groups that I have currently, as well as an entrepreneur one, which I started a little bit ago, Entrepreneur University. We might change the name of that, still not sure. But basically, build up all the groups and then offer, especially the paid ones, and then offer as an upsell a membership to an in-person facility where you can come in person and meet with other entrepreneurs and people in the advertising industry. Because Soho House is very artist focused. It's very they want you to be an artist, some in the creative industry,
Yeah.
something like that. If you're a lawyer, doctor, even media buyer, they don't love you, and you might not even get approved. I applied to Soho a long time ago and still haven't gotten approved, but I don't live close to it, so that's probably why. But at least one of the reasons. But regardless, it's also like kind of like a very London-y vibe. So basically, I want to make my own where it's kind of like a hotel, rooftop pool, whatever. You can go bring your laptop, work, have a drink, or have a meeting there, etc. And then started in Los Angeles and then do them all over the world. So that basically bringing people together in person is my goal. So I'm working towards that with ad leaks and then all the communities.
So like a high end networking group, a high end co-working space that also is like social living and obviously like
It
hotel and
wouldn't
stuff.
be don't
Well,
think
I
like
mean,
co-working space
well, I
because
mean like
because we
like bringing
work
people
whatever.
together. Yeah, so like a high like not focus on the work, but like it's a you got to pay to get in. People can work there, but it's a more like relaxed
Yep.
social environment. So like I think it's interesting because you think about generational shifts, right? And one of the biggest things for like my parents' generation and older are for like at least the wealthy is like golf clubs, right? That's
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
exclusive club.
members club.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a lot of places where it can cost $1 million plus to become your initiation fee, and then it's maybe $250,000 a year to be a member of it. You look at
Hmm.
like Mar-a-Lago, it's probably tripled in their initiation fees. Trump's Golf Club, but
Yep.
like and we've looked. There's a Lake Nona Country Club, which is down the street from us. We actually look because they started courting like younger professionals, doctors, and stuff, and they made the club like way more modern. It's not like that old feel. And they're even
Yep.
creating like packages to get younger people
That's
on
how ours would
board.
be too. Is like more like the W, kind of like a modern vibe.
Yeah, but still, like even with that though, it's still like a golf club. Like it's like, do I want to be part?
Hmm.
It's the demographics different. The social activities are geared still, even though they're attracting younger people, they still have a big bulk that are
Yeah.
50s, 60s, and up, and the stuff they do is just different, right? So I think there's definitely a huge opportunity of like, well, what do people that are in their 30s and 40s that have money and want to be in exclusive clubs, what do they want to do? Because they're not really going to join the country club. Maybe some will, but they still want to be part of a kind of exclusive club and membership community where there's networking. They can have a drink, they can hang out, they can talk business, or they can just talk
Yeah, it's like
personal.
it's a social club, right? Like
Yeah,
people, there's been gentlemen, I don't want to call them gentlemen's clubs because not strippers,
different
but
connotation, but I know what you mean. Yeah,
yeah, there's been like gentlemen clubs,
yeah,
for centuries,
yeah.
where they get together, they chill, they talk business, whatever. So it's that kind of thing. Obviously, not gentlemen only; it's women and men. And we're be shooting for age 25 to maybe 50 on the top end, with the key being kind of 30s and 40s. Um, uh, that's the kind of the demographic that we'd be going for. But it's meant to be, it's meant to be social, et cetera. And I think there's a big, the really interesting thing though is that people are paying. We charge $100 a month for ad leagues.
Yep.
So Soho charges about $2,500 a year to be a member. Okay,
Okay.
so that's about $200 a month, right? So for an extra $100 a month, to be able to come into a physical location anywhere around the world, et cetera, is a bargain. There's usually a gym there too, so like just the gym alone, makes up
That's
for
super cheap. Yeah.
yeah. And then it's basically like uh, you know annual recurring or monthly recurring revenue for real estate though at this point,
Yep.
where then we're buying physical locations, and even if no one buys a drink, even if no one eats at the restaurant, even if no one goes to the gym, even if no one stays in the hotel rooms, with enough members, you cash flow it all even if you don't make a dime from all that other stuff. Whereas most businesses, right, most hotels, restaurants, etc., if people aren't eating there, people aren't staying there, they're losing money, right? Um, this gives us the opportunity to one have basically, like I said, is an annual recurring uh, real estate play, which is basically unheard of, you know. So that's my big goal at least.
I like that. And you think about, some of the biggest, wealthiest companies are a lot of them are real estate companies, right? You look at McDonald's and stuff. Like McDonald's is not a burger and fries company; it's a real estate company. It owns all the land, and you
Most
look
of the
at
churches out there.
church. I was just gonna say that all the religions, and the benefit they get is it's tax free. So it's a nice business when you can just own and buy all the real estate and not pay any taxes on it. It's
Yeah.
a pretty good business to be in. But yeah, I mean that makes sense if you think about just hospitality in general. Their goal is always occupancy, and they have to invest a lot in getting people in the door, getting hotels filled, and all stuff. And then there's obviously variable costs that come with that. Of like now you got to clean the rooms and stuff. If your focus is like, hey, we're gonna just these are all added amenities, whether you use them or not. We actually probably don't want you to. It's like a gym. It's a gym. Would
Oh
actually
no, you
rather
still
you
want
not
them
go.
to.
So
No,
you're
you
gonna
still want them
charge.
to
So you're gonna charge
because
for
you
those
don't get
services.
free. Yeah, it's not like you
Okay.
get. Yeah, yeah, of course. It's not like you get free drinks at Soho. You still have to pay. You know that entry fee. You just get to pay. That's just like an entry fee to be able to go in.
I meant for like
But every
rooms
time
and
I
gyms
mean,
and stuff. Not
no,
for
yeah,
like
you
food
still
and
have to pay
drinks.
for a room.
Okay.
Oh, you still have to pay for a room. Yeah, yeah, nothing's free. The gym is free. That's included. You know, you just have to walk in. You know, but like the hotel, you still have to pay for the hotel rooms. So basically, what they do though is they jack the price up double what that hotel room should cost. Like if you're not a member, let's say it should cost 300 because it's in LA and a good location or whatever, right? A night, $300 a night. They'll charge 600 a night if you're not a member, and then with your member discount, you get half off. So then it's
Got it.
300,
Got it.
which is still a lot, you know, for because their rooms are very tiny. So it's just funny how they do it, but they're hitting the creative, the creative, the artists, that kind of thing, which is a great market. But I feel like entrepreneurs, people in the advertising industry, people in the tech industry, have a lot more disposable income, and are just being underserved. There's nowhere where that we can go hang out and like meet like-minded people, you know, and that's to me is a big problem.
I agree. You could also just make a super premium package and just charge, several thousand a month, and that's a unlimited pass. That's what's that travel company that's growing really crazy right now? It's like $2,500 a month, and it's basically unlimited travel to all these places around the world. Um,
It's like
and they,
Jet Smarter and stuff like that.
something like that. And they just do the math to know that people aren't going to use it enough. It's like any gym, right? They know that most people sign up for a year in January. They go for like 30 days and they don't go for the rest of the year. So there's no depreciation on equipment. They're not paying, they're not paying to service them. So it's an interesting business model. That's cool. So I'm excited to see you start deploying that. What would be so it's got to be a more time intensive and resource intensive process. I'm curious, like, what's the game plan there? Because obviously it's a massive capital investment.
So yeah, absolutely. So my business partner Sean Brown is like a really great guy. We've been working together for about 10 years now, and his family owns a hotel, a couple of hotels actually, but hotel. There's a restaurant in there and all that. And thankfully he's going to be able to fund it because I don't have like $50 million laying around, you know.
You don't? I always thought
'Cause
you had in like a bag in the
I
back of
wish,
your
you know.
office.
Yeah, keep it back there, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've already kind of looked into it. We know kind of some rough costs, not exactly anything, but we know it's going to cost somewhere in the 10 to 30 million range, capital wise. So thankfully, my business partner and his network is able to accommodate that. But it's going to be easy because we can cash flow with existing members when we're ready,
Yeah,
before
you
the
can
place even
pre-sell a lot of it.
opens.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, pre-sell a
founding
lot of
members.
membership.
And then
Yep.
what's crazy too is that all the things once people are in there, physically in there, so at Soho, they like sell art on like the art on the walls. You can like buy it, you know. So there's like so many other ways to monetize the business as well. Plus, you own the real estate. I mean, it's my $1 billion play. I'll put it that way.
I like it. And then
That's my goal.
you can do events. I mean, like our mastermind next week, we're part of a member only club in downtown Orlando called University Club. And yeah, I mean, they're making a good amount of money from us hosting a 2-day event where members there, and they allow members to have kind of up to 50 people, 60 people. And, I mean, it's a great deal for us. It's still a better deal than going somewhere else, but like, it's a great use of space for them. So there's so many ways to monetize that real estate when you have it. Just, and then the demographic of customers you have, that's just an easy play to do masterminds, events, and stuff there.
Yeah, totally. And they have they at Soho too, and I plan on using a lot of the same kind of things they do. But they have like little courses and stuff. Like you can show up at 7 o'clock and get a course on social media, or there's like a 6 o'clock class on like how to play the guitar. Stuff that's like free for the members, and they just have another member that wants to like teach. You have one of the rooms and just go teach. And people can just show up and learn. So there's a lot of kind of cool little things about it.
Yeah.
But the best part is just being able to go somewhere, bring your laptop, relax, get some work done, socialize a bit. It's just really nice, honestly, to chill. Like when you go to like a WeWork or something like that, it's just very like work, work, work. Desks. That's it. There's no pool. There's no, nothing like that, right? It's more work focused. Whereas social clubs are more social focused, but you can also work. And I think, that a lot of people like, you and me, we work from an office, we work from home, but we're working a lot.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to go socialize somewhere that's not at our house or our office, and be around like-minded people and like a comfortable atmosphere, et cetera. So that's my big goal though. Yes.
Love it, man. So I'm going to hit you
What's
with what's
yours?
What's mine? That's a great question. And I was just going to throw you another tough question that I thought of, and then you threw a tougher question back at me, which I can just choose to ignore if I want because it's my show, but I won't. Right now, like our big focus is building assets. And what I mean by that is instead of running, and this is different. You're talking like a 10-year plus goal, and we have some stuff like that as well. But just like the next like 1 to 3 years. Is like getting out of the service-based business and getting into the business of building our own internal properties that we know we can exit. So basically, like what I learned from Ezra, and Ezra Firestone's become just a good friend and mentor of mine over the years, is like it's very, very hard to build wealth, even making huge salaries. Like even if you make $500,000 a year, it's very hard to accumulate wealth. Because your lifestyle increases, and there's not, as you're late, you get married, you have kids, stuff like that. What you really need is like exits.
You gotta have a big slam of cash all at once.
Yeah, so you need to have an exit. You need to get a few $1,000,000 plus in the door that you can then deploy and invest in a bunch of different things. Invest in real estate, invest in in other companies, other startups, and then it's a ripple effect, right? Because then 1 or 2 of those things work out, big payday, and then you have 14, 16 things. You look at like Ashton Kutcher, right? How does a guy like Ashton Kutcher become incredibly wealthy? Obviously a very successful actor, but he got really smart after kind of towards the end of his acting career, and started a fund. And I think his first fund started with like $20 million and brought in like 250 million, like something crazy like that. He made initial invests in like Uber, Facebook, Pinterest, all these companies. So for us, that's a big focus is for twofold. One is obviously financial, but that's not the bigger one. The bigger one is frankly just tired of building other people's dreams and visions without any gratification or reward. Like we've, like that company I told you in the beginning, Carbon Clean, like and there's no ill will here. Like I love the founder, love Dan, love everything they did. And frankly, we were early in our career and we weren't at a point to justify getting a piece of a company. But like when they first came to us, they were doing no TV. They were doing no retail. They were doing about $1,000, $2,000 a month on a WooCommerce store. And we got them to about $500,000 a month in about a 3-month window. Wow. And then from there, they got, and it's a great product. Like it was easy for us too, because it was an incredible product. They had a great brand. They did all things right. Then they got QVC, HSN. Then they got Target and Walmart and retail. And then they got onto Giddy Up and all the big networks, and they're doing thousands of sales a day on these networks. So now it's this massive company. And for us, it's, we made good money, just retainers and stuff, but there's no gratification there. They sell a company for $100 million one day. That'll be great for them, but it's, we had a tiny percent, responsibility for that, even smaller than that, but still, that's what we got kind of tired of. It was, one was seeing those huge success stories and then eventually getting fired, because that's what always happens no matter what. You could do the best job ever. Your shelf life, your days are numbered as an agency, no matter what.
Well, and the better the job you do, the sooner that you get fired usually.
Yeah. Yeah, you become obsolete. Perry Belcher gave me one of the best pieces of advice while they were paying us as an agency. We were at his house in Vegas, and he said to us, at some point, guys, like, we're going to start writing you a check big enough that our CFO and our accounting team is going to be like, what could we use this money for? Like, hey, this is $50,000 a month we're paying them just to run our ads. Like, what could we do with 50 grand? Well, we could build an entire marketing team internally and not pay them.
Yeah.
So there's always a number with a company. You could be making them $3 million a month, but when somebody writes you a check for 50 grand, 100 grand a month, they're going to start examining it. So
100%.
Yeah. So it was the amount of bending over backwards you do right on the agency side, where you can go above and beyond every single day, weekends for weeks and months. And then there's one issue at one point and you lose all that goodwill. And that's happened tons of times. So for us, it's like, hey, like, build our own assets, because we'll have more fun doing it. We'll actually believe in what we're doing. It will enjoy it.
Well, and you know what you're doing,
Yes.
Like with a lot of these brands, you have to like coach them on how to properly be a brand. It's annoying in a lot of cases. Obviously there's the cool clients, and those ones are awesome, and they're kind of what keep you in it. But a lot of them are just pains in the butt,
And they're missing a lot of things, right? So the traffic person always gets blamed, right? You're the person that gets blamed almost all the time if something's not working, because I'm paying them a lot of money to send traffic, and they think that traffic equates to sales. So I'm paying them to send me customers. But it's, hey, listen, guys, if you're not, your funnel's terrible, your landing page is terrible, your website's terrible, your AOV's terrible, you have no upsells, your LTV's terrible. If we fix all these things, if we increase your conversion rate from 1% to 4%, which is very easy to do at that, when you're talking that low numbers, and we increase your AOV from $50 to $75, and we increase your LTV from $75 to $150, all of a sudden your traffic now looks great, right? But they don't want to hear that because they're hiring you to run traffic. And so when you own your own business and you're running your own assets, like, you control everything. With our political brand, I have a hand in everything. We're working on our VWO all the time. We're A/B testing everything. We're testing different funnel strategies. We're doing, poll capture, lead capture. We're doing straight sale. We're testing new product ideas. We're monetizing the back end. We have all kinds of affiliate partners. So it's so much more rewarding. It's a lot easier. The upside's better. The stress is lower. So that's a big focus for us. In terms of like beyond that, after some exits, I've always wanted to start like a VC fund. I've always wanted to be on the other side of the table, because I started my career raising money as an entrepreneur from VCs. And I always said one day, like, I want to be on the other side of the table, because I know what it was like being the 19-year-old kid that was like, you're flying all over the country and putting your heart and soul on the table and begging people for money. And those people literally have the ability to turn your dream and your passion into a reality. And like, that's so cool to me. And a lot of those dreams and realities are going to fail, but like, you literally have the ability to write somebody a check that like changes their life. And that person potentially could change the lives of millions of people. And I think, what I realized the last year, as I started to get more successful, and as the challenges and the things that you worry about become different, right? Than when you were starting your career and you're worrying about paycheck to paycheck and all the survival stuff, the Maslow's hierarchy. I started thinking about like, what could I do that could impact the greatest number of people in the world? And for me at this point, it's, sure, I can teach another 1,000 people how to run Facebook ads, another few thousand people how to run Facebook ads. Sure, I can, do a big launch. Sure, I can sell a product to, 100,000 people. But what gets me more excited is like, what I would rather do is invest in just brilliant people who have these world changing ideas and help them execute that. Obviously provide the capital and then also marketing strategy, connections, resources. That gets me really excited, and that's something I think that by the time in my late 30s and 40s would love to have a fund that that starts doing that. It's like a purpose thing, right? I think like watching you talk about the real estate play, like you're genuinely excited about that. And I know there are times in your career, I'm sure, where like you were doing things because they made a lot of money, but like every day when you did them, you were never like, I can't wait to get to work today. I can't wait to scale this offer. I can't wait to put another slide deck together, right? And that's just me speaking. Like for me, that's the way it's felt like, in the last few years. Like at some point, you're doing things and you did them initially because you had no money and you had nothing and you wanted to build that. But then once you get there, you're like, why am I still doing this? It's like I no longer need to do it. Now I need to find something that I actually want to do because I don't need to do it anymore. And that was like really, really eye opening when we had that kind of meeting as a company, just like had that discussion, and we were all on the same page. Like all my partners, like, wow, yeah, why are we doing this? Like, let's just fire all these clients. Let's stop doing this. We don't need to do it anymore.
Yeah, no, totally. I totally understand, and that's it's important. You're totally right. When you're in the beginning, you're doing things to make money that you're not necessarily super passionate about, but you're passionate about the money. So that's why you kind of keep going, and then you do get to a point where you have the money, and then you want to do something you're actually passionate about, even if it makes a little less money in the short term. You can usually have a vision for a long term big play. And it's funny you mentioned though, being an investor, because that's ultimately I'd say like after an exit from the members clubs, that's what I want to do is invest also. And my business partner Sean has a VC firm. He does investing in startups and stuff. Called Go VC, so I'm just kind of waiting till I have enough capital to be able to do it myself as well. But that's something that I definitely want to do too. So that's pretty cool. What was I'm curious though. Now you got me wondering. What was the other hard question you wanted to ask?
Oh, so I was curious what your thoughts were on the election so far, because I follow it like crazy because this is what we do for a living. So I'm always like,
Yeah, me too.
I'm having a blast because obviously we're selling conservative stuff. So, and I take my political views out of it. I just look at purely as a marketer, and as a pure marketer, everything that's been happening has been just like gold. Every day it's gold, whether it's something Trump
It's
says,
going to be
something
more and
Biden
more
does.
gold. Yeah.
So I'm curious to get your thoughts on one. Do you think Biden or Bernie is going to get the nominee? And then let's assume it's Trump Biden, which I'd imagine it's what's going to be because I think there's no way people are going to let Bernie, like the Democrat establishment is going to let Bernie get it. They're going to figure out something. Who wins
I
come election
totally
day?
agree. Yeah, the Democratic establishment is definitely going against Bernie, and I mean they've openly admitted this, which is the crazy part too. But I just read a couple articles yesterday that says I just read a couple articles yesterday that say that uh, that Russia actually supposedly Russia's disinformation campaigns are trying to help Trump and Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
Apparently, they want Bernie Sanders. So part of me is wondering, like, is that why he's doing so much better this election cycle than he did 4 years ago? 4 years ago, he wasn't getting like nearly the support that he's getting now. And I wonder, how much of it to do with that. Is Russia really doing it or not? Who knows? But yeah, it was interesting to see. I think the Democrats kept Elizabeth Warren in for Super Tuesday to suck a bunch of delegates and vote count away from Bernie.
That hurt him big
Um,
time.
but yeah, but I thought she would stay in longer to keep siphoning away votes from him. So I don't know. She got out now. Bloomberg got out. Man, he spent what, like $500 million to win
500
American
million.
Samoa only. Yeah, and
I
only
mean,
one was American Samoa.
what I will say is, yeah. So he won one state. He got absolutely crushed. And
They said
again,
he
like
they said he paid $10 million. It comes out he paid $10 million per delegate vote.
it's crazy. Well, he got crushed because like the way that the Democratic nomination system is set up is very interesting. Basically, if you don't get 15% of the vote in
Yep.
a state, you don't get any delegates. So like what happened with Bloomberg is he literally got like 13 in some states he got like
Yeah.
14.8 in a bunch of states. So he literally like got almost there. And so I'll say about Bloomberg, and I know we gotta wrap up. I don't want to keep you too long. is I think people are basically saying like what this proves is that no amount of money can buy an election. I think it needs more data because I think like if literally anybody else got on the stage, they would have broke the 15%. I'm not saying that he would have won, like he would have come out ahead, but like his debate performances were just abysmal.
Terrible.
Like the
Yeah.
worst debates in history of debates. The guy, you'd think with all that money, you would have all the consultants in the world telling you like, these are the questions they're going to ask you. Let's formulate all the answers and be ready. It was as if he was surprised that people asked him about like these NDAs he had and all this stuff. But he hired everybody. I mean, he hired like Fuck Jerry. He hired every big company that does social media marketing, memes, pay traffic. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it was a terrible candidate. It's like he had all the fuel and the
Yeah,
resources and
he
the
should have
capital.
should have just put his money behind someone else, honestly. And I think it would have done a lot better for him. And I think that if he would have got in maybe earlier and been a part of the debates earlier, that would have helped a little bit. But ultimately, yeah, I think that he was just a bad candidate. But I think that with the right money, you could almost buy the candidate. You know, you could almost buy the candidacy with all the advertising. But ultimately, you still it's just like e-commerce, man. You have to have a good product, you know.
Exactly.
And he was ultimately just not a good product.
That is the best way I think I could end it. You took this conversation about politics and you tied it right back into ecom and ads. I think we formed a perfect circle there, man. So, is there, I know you have ad leaks, Facebook ad buyers. What do you want to plug? You're more than welcome to share anything you want.
I would just love to plug AdLeaks, guys. So AdLeaks, for those of you guys that don't know, you just go to joinadleaks.com. It's just $100 a month, no contract, nothing like that. And we have now over 500 videos, mini courses, tutorials, how-tos on everything from Facebook, Google, Pinterest, CRO, email marketing. I mean, you name it. So much so. If you guys want to learn more, I highly recommend you join AdLeaks. Max here is one of our awesome contributors as well and does some amazing videos in there. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you there.
Thanks, man. Well, you heard it,
And
guys.
and
Yep.
yeah, and I want to thank you, Max, for having me on, and I look forward to seeing you next week too.
Looking forward to it, man. So I will see you next week, and I will see everyone else on our next episode. Thanks, everyone.